Welcome in to the Jordy Culotta Show. Wave your hand out there, baby!
Shout out to the show.
She puts the pinky into the nostril. Man, look at that.
Healthy competition, there's nothing like it.
Y'all grow up.
The line's wrapped around the stadium.
Different strengths. I just lost a tooth.
It's going to be fun.
You know, we might have a story.
I love what you're doing.
Ogeron wants to take us fishing this afternoon.
Sharif, you play for the bad boys of the SEC, man. We don't apologize to anybody.
A lot of people are saying you're going to be wearing number 7.
I don't really know. I want to. He look crazy, Bill.
Good feet on the old man.
Definitely come back. I love.
We'll be right back with the Jordy Culotta Show. All right, welcome in to a Thursday edition of the Jordy Culotta Show, as always, built by our friends over at RMB Builders. Get in touch with Rhett and the crew over at RMB today. Tell them you heard it here on the Culotta Show. If you're looking for a brand new house, if you want a custom design home, if you are looking for reconstruction and addition, all of it, Rhett Bourgeois and the crew can take care of it over at RMB Builders. They are online at rmb-builders.com, and you can always find them on Instagram at RMB Builders. Our phone line is brought to you daily by our friends over at Southern Regional Medical Center, formerly Metropolitan Health Group. Still the same great people, same great services that you can find over at Southern Regional Medical Center. Get in touch with them today. Jason Ramazan, Charlie Harvey, the entire crew over there. Speaking of Ramo, always got to talk about Mr. Fun's Travel. Remember Mr. Fun's Travel putting together the trip to Orlando, opening weekend of college football. LSU going to be taking on Florida State. That should be a great one between the Tigers and the Noles. Getting, if you want to be there, if you want to be a part of the game of the weekend, get on to MrFunsTravel.com online and book your spot today. That is first-class travel, airfare from Baton Rouge to Orlando. Then, of course, you will have travel from the airport to the hotel, from the hotel to the game, back from the hotel to the airport, and then back home to Baton Rouge. It's always a great trip to make with Mr. Fun's Travel, so try it today. David Steele is going to be here. He's from the Baton Rouge Bourbon Society, and tell us a little bit about an event in Baton Rouge coming up this Saturday night called Screw Cancer. We'll talk to David this morning. Looking forward to our conversation. He'll be through here about 7:45 as he'll tell us what's going on. He's a part, as we said, of the Bourbon Society, and they have a couple of bottles of whiskey that will be going towards the benefit this Saturday night. He'll tell us how we can be involved and how you can be involved coming up for this Saturday in town. Alabama was on the podium yesterday. Billy Napier in Florida was running through SEC Media Days yesterday, and the crew and I were talking. Lloyd's here, and Stewie is here on this Thursday. We were all talking coming into the show, and it's something that we've talked about a little bit from the lead up into SEC Media Days and into the college football season, is the instability at quarterback around the league, really, but around the country, right? I mean, LSU sits in a really good spot in the quarterback room as far as having two experienced guys and two guys that they really trust, with Jaden Daniels and Garrett Nussmeier being the headliners of that list. And then you look around the league and you hear teams talk about what they have going on campus. And outside of Spencer Rattler in South Carolina, and KJ Jefferson at Arkansas, LSU, Arkansas, and South Carolina feel like three of the most secure spots and teams, not only in the conference, but in the country. We said we looked around during spring football and we're watching some of the stories from just other programs. And from a depth standpoint, the only team that I saw that had, quality depth like LSU was Texas. And, everybody else seems to have quarterback competition. I mean, if you're not USC with Caleb Williams or Washington with Michael Penix or North Carolina with Drake May, I mean, there's some schools with some solid starters out there, right? Sam Hartman at Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm.
But, outside of some of those headliners, not a lot of quality depth at that position around the country, right? And why I believe LSU sits as in a healthy of a spot. Now, look, you're always a play away at that position from, being another play away from your third string. So, I mean, it can spin quick. But from just a stable standpoint, after listening to Billy Napier, Nick Saban, the rest of, SEC media days, one thing that seems very relevant is that there's not a lot of teams have a quarterback. Now, it's football, it's sports. Somebody's going to emerge, somebody that we're not even talking about is going to come out of the shadows and be a player. And, we'll be talking about somebody that we didn't even know existed at this point in a couple of weeks. But going into the year, nobody really knows who their quarterback is. I mean, I know that George is gonna tee it up with Carson Beck, and he's probably going to be phenomenal. I mean, a former high-level recruit. But he's still unproven. No experience. I mean, there's still a lot of question marks. It is kind of fascinating to see LSU on the other side of this argument, not argument, but just discussion, right? Where you're always sweating and stressing and anxious about who's going to be under center, to be in a position where, hell, if you lose your starter, you feel like you're still in a good spot.
And that's the other thing. There's not a lot of teams that can say that. Like, when you go around the conference you named, I think the only other quarterback that's coming back is Will Rogers for Mississippi State. Like, that's the...
And I look,
KJ
Will
Jefferson.
Will Rogers is proven. He's a good quarterback, but he's got a coaching change and a totally philosophical change from scheme. Like, they're taking Will Rogers and something that he's done really good with the air raid at Mississippi State. Zach Arnett is coming in as a first-year head coach. His prerogative, I mean, he's got the power to do that, but he's totally flipping what the identity is going to be of that offense. And while I believe that Will Rogers is a good player, that for anyone is trying at the very least, right? I mean, I'm not sitting here and saying that Rogers is going to, just flunk the test and, be, a deadbeat quarterback. But I'm saying that something that he's done really well and understands, they're now taking that completely off of the table and asking him to do something else and learn something else and run something else. So, look, he's got experience coming back. If we want to put him on the list, fine. But, he's having his world flipped upside down, not only with, losing his coach in the way that happened and went down just from a mentally, from a mental health standpoint, but to having to adjust to new coaches, new terminology, and a new scheme. That's going to be a real test for Rodgers, and one that I'm not saying that he's gonna fail, but that's not ideal. That's not what you want. I mean, you want something like Jaden Daniels has coming back, where you've got the quarterback coach in Joe Sloan, you've got the offensive coordinator in Mike Denbrock, you've got the offensive line coach in Brad Davis coming back. Obviously, you've got Brian Kelly, Frank Wilson is there. I mean, the entire offensive staff is there. Cortez Hankton's still there coaching the wide receivers. I mean, that is From year 1 to year 2 for Jaden Daniels as a starter at LSU, there's been no turnover from any decision maker, any terminology, almost any player. I mean, really? I mean, only the one they've lost is Kayshawn? Is that, am I right? Did they lose an offensive lineman?
I don't think so. I really think Kayshawn and
Anthony Bradford.
Anthony Bradford.
And I feel good about what the offensive line has done.
Absolutely. I mean, I was looking. I was in an airport all weekend, and trapped in the airport. So next thing you know, I'm buying $13 magazines in the off season. But really did it. I bought the Lindy Southeast. It's sitting on my desk. If y'all want to grab it, Harold Perkins is on the cover.
That's one way to make you buy something.
That's how they got me. That's how they got me. I mean, and I was reading, like they do the, and this is all preseason stuff, man. Put what you want into it, but just it was a sign of the respect that LSU has in a short time on the offensive line. Like they do these unit rankings, from around the country. Who's got the best wide receivers? Who's got the best quarterbacks? Who's got the best backfield? Who's got the best offensive line? And they had LSU's offensive line ranked 3rd in the country going into the season. Now, whether they are or they're not,
but just
I don't
in
know.
the
But the fact that they're in that discussion a year after being lost, I mean, like no idea who they were going to play, is amazing.
I mean, you go from
amazing,
and you go from a guy that transferred in from Stanford to come in to be Harvard to be your starting center, and now you look back, you fast forward 1 year essentially, and now you're number 3 in the country, ranked by a magazine that I think a lot of people read and probably is pretty well respected. That's something and that's not even a group when you think of LSU. Obviously, you think about the bookend tackles, right? But for everybody else in the trenches to be able to be like keep up the pace is something that it feels like the offensive line is almost overlooked a little bit when you look on like position by position basis. Because the first thing I think everybody thinks about is either the quarterback room or the wide receivers, because you can go down. You talk about not losing anybody. You can essentially say you didn't lose anybody because the way that Kayshawn was in and out the lineup last year. And so, good, bad, or indifferent, that helped the wide receiver room where you get experience for other people that had to step up. It made Malik Neighbors turn into essentially a star. And then you have Kyron Lacey that seems to is going to take that next jump. I mean, you can go down the list of people that you think are going to be playmakers on the offensive side. So for the offensive line to get the shine too, it really does feel like I don't want to get caught up and swept up in the hype, especially from SEC media days where it feels like LSU is kind of the talk of the town almost because of the inconsistency at other positions for other teams. Like, Alabama's going to be good, but when you hear Nick Saban talk about the quarterback play and compare it to baking a cake, like that doesn't sound like a very finished product. He doesn't really know yet. And so when you go down to like LSU, they bring a quarterback there. And then you have, like you said, with the offensive line, wide receiver room, I guess the only thing that hasn't really been talked about is what the defense is going to look like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that is something that they've talked a bit about, and obviously Mason Smith being the headliner really kind of the offseason for LSU in coming back is something that obviously Matt House is anxious to work with because he wasn't able to really kind of work with him last season. Jimmy Lindsey being the new defensive line coach, him getting an opportunity to work with his group, who is, really one of the underrated groups of the league. When you talk about guys like Mason Smith coming in, and obviously you've got Mekhi Wingo there, and a real good list of transfers that are going to come in and should help with a rotation. And look, Mason Smith allows you to do so much more just from a scheme standpoint than you were able to do last season. And that's just, by him showing up. I mean, by him getting off the bus, being healthy and playing, the other team is going to have to commit. They're going to have to commit guys to him. If they've got somebody good enough to block him one-on-one, well, then you're looking at a couple of first-round picks going at one another. But odds are each Saturday, somebody's going to have to help on Mason Smith. Somebody's going to have to double team him. And, if you start to double inside, that means that you got to play one-on-one on the outside. And I didn't see anybody that LSU played last season that one-on-one could keep a true freshman in Harold Perkins out of the backfield. If you want to try and play him one-on-one a season later, a year smarter, weight room stronger, nutrition fed in the program, faster, take your gamble. I mean, but that seems to be advantage LSU every time if you can get him one-on-one, along with the other guys that they have coming in. But, I mean, I think that their defense is really, to me, the key to the defense is just being able to stay healthy in the defensive backfield. I think if you can, that's where LSU, you always have to have a touch, a pinch, a dash of luck anytime you win a championship, right? I mean, 2019, the story, the dash, the little bit of luck to me would be keeping Burrow healthy and clean from start to finish. Guy never missed a snap, and really he had a rib problem after that Alabama game that they had to shoot up continuously, whether it was pregame, in-game, or post-game for the rest of the season. And we've all seen the clip of him at the national championship when he gets hurt and tells everybody to stay the F away from him. He's hurt. But the fact that he didn't miss a snap, didn't miss a game, didn't miss a big series, big play, big moment, that's that piece of that you got to have. You can't really plan for that. If that happens, you're screwed. So from a defensive back standpoint, they're a player or two away from really being in a bind or being in a situation where they don't have the bodies, they don't have the guys, they don't have the proven talent. And for as good as they are everywhere else, right? They got depth on the offensive line. They got depth at wide receiver. They got depth at quarterback. They got depth at running back. They got a good defensive line rotation. They had a good transfer in offseason, and Omar Spates come in to help play linebacker. You might have the best linebacker in the country. You definitely got the best defensive player in the country. And Harold Perkins. Mason Smith comes back. You get to that defensive backfield, and look, I mean, guys like Denver Harris need to be Denver Harris. He's got to be big-time, shut-down, lockdown corner. J.K. Johnson, transfer out of Ohio State. Deuce Chestnut, transfer out of Syracuse. LaTerrence Welsh, only guy in the room that can say, look, he's been here. He's seen it. He knows what this room has gone through. To even newcomers, to guys like Taviano, who are, true freshmen.
He's going to play, though.
Yeah, he'll play.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you're looking at guys like Matthew Langlois. I mean, who, I've said his name a couple of times, and people are like, they'll kind of be like, say what? I mean, if you're paying attention to these awards that they hand out in the offseason, it's like Tiger of the Week or Performer of the Week. Langlois took it home 2 weeks ago.
Freak of the Week.
I know that doesn't mean that he's going to be a starting safety in the SEC and a guy that's going to be making plays. We've seen a lot of Freak of the Weeks just, make headlines during June and July and be nowhere to be found in September and October. I get it. But from a defensive back standpoint, all hands on deck. Everybody's going to have a shot. And, I mean,
they bring in Andre Sam.
Secondary to me, Zy Alexander's another one.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they all of those transfers show you their concern, right? Like, I mean, they take a lot of transfers on the offensive line. One, Tyler Lunsford. Is it Tyler or Mason? It's Tyler, right?
I think it's Tyler.
Mason.
Is it Mason?
Mason Lunsford.
Damn.
From?
Maryland.
There you go.
University of Maryland.
Maryland.
Played a lot of football, man.
He did.
And
he didn't come, considering, like you said, he played a lot of football, so he's coming here for a reason. It's not like he would walk away from a starting gig at Maryland to come LSU just to – he knows he's going to get reps. He's coming to a better scenario where he feels like he can get some playing time. I don't know if he'll be penciled in as a starter, but as the crow flies, whenever you play a lot of football in the offensive line, those are the people that get hurt the most. You'll see him miss a series or two. So to have that quality of depth of getting essentially a starter from Maryland to come in and back up for you, maybe, shows the quality of depth they have on the offensive line. But I'm with you. I need to see it first. If you're going to have, and this isn't us, what do they always say that we do? Like, the sky is falling, what have you. It's not that. I just haven't seen them play yet.
Right. No,
I just want to see what Deuce Chestnut looks like. I want to see what Denver Harris looks like. That's what I'm saying. If there's one thing to see, everything else has been proven to you. You've seen the other, I guess, 15, 16 people play. You haven't seen it really on the defensive end, especially in the secondary.
Look, I've been doing a ton of radio, ton of shows to lead up to the season. People ask me all the time, what's the concern on LSU? My top 2 concerns on LSU going into the season, and this is not – I think LSU's a top 5 team. I think they're a top program going into the season. I think they're a competitive, championship-worthy Final Four contender going into the season. They got to have some bounces go their way. They need some things to work out. One of the things that needs to work out for them is the health of the defensive backfield. My top 2 concerns that I say all the time is DB and kicker. It's just the 2 things I don't really know about. Everything else I seem to have security that they're going to be okay. Like they're going to be competitive. They're going to be competitive enough from a personnel standpoint that they'll figure it out. I mean, they may not have the best, but they got enough competition, enough high-end players where they'll be competitive. I just don't know at defensive backfield, right? Like, I mean, Taviano looks like he's going to be a stud. Looks like he's going to be a player. I expect him to play a ton as a true freshman. But, I mean, even the best guys we've seen come through here have those true freshman moments, right? I mean, there's a couple of outliers, but, I mean, let's not get lost in the sauce. Not everybody walking through here is going to be Pat Pete and Tyrann Mathieu and Harold Perkins. I mean, there's a reason why. I mean, they come around like once a decade. If you get 2 of them, like Pat Pete and Matthew on campus at the same time, that is pinch yourself type stuff.
Sprinkling a little Mo Claiborne.
Right. I mean, look, you're not DBU for nothing.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Errol Simon.
Yeah.
Throw both of them in there real quick.
Ron Brooks. Oh, 4-3 coming off the bench.
I mean, followed up by Jamal Adams, Dante Jackson. Yeah, I mean, like, it's just you got to be a player. You know what I mean? For a while, you and those were all pretty much Louisiana kids. You know, I mean, outside of Jamal Adams, I mean, Patrick Peterson, for the most part, I mean, all of them from Louisiana. This is a different type of way to build DBU. You know, I mean, it's not really been done now. I know that the transfer portal's a brand new way of recruiting the sport, but I mean, this is not how you've seen it done. I mean, you got a bunch of guys like coming in from different areas, but you have to get somebody to step up there. I think a perfect candidate is LaTerrence Welsh. I think he is a guy that coming off of spring and coming into a season where it looks like his development is on pace to get him on the field at a position of need, because he you know, quite frankly,
has to.
Not only has to, he looks like he's earned it. You know, I know there's some guys that still have to, you know, go through the competition. Did Chestnut go through spring?
He did, but he was hurt.
So he wasn't working out.
He wasn't working out.
What about J.K. Johnson?
J.K. Johnson went through probably like half of the practices.
And he was hurt.
And then he was hurt.
Okay, so I mean, these guys are on campus, right? Zay Alexander?
Yeah, Zaya's not. Zay Alexander went through every practice.
Right, and he's going to play.
Yeah.
And look, I expect Denver Harris. I think that they were, they're making sure to get the best out of Harris. They know what he can do physically. I mean, Harris is one of those athletes where you put him on the field and you're like, oh, okay, all right. I mean, you know what you're dealing with, right? And then there's a bit of, that type of athlete where everything has come very, very easy to him, right? Like hit him a pop-up in baseball when he was 12, 13, he'd chase it down. Throw him a football from anywhere on the field, he'd go catch it. Put him out on the basketball floor, he's the best player out there. Throw a soccer ball down on the field, he's scoring all the goals. It's just, he was one of those types of guys where it didn't matter, right? I mean, we all have that guy in our group. We all have that friend, right, where it just everything came really, really easy to him. But at some point, all of that catches up to you. You get into an SEC locker room, and even last year, a true freshman in an SEC locker room in Division I college football for the first time, he's a midseason All-American as a freshman midseason All-American. So even as he's adjusting to new places and new competition and new program, it's still coming easy to him. That's not different at LSU. He's still walking into LSU's locker room and a top 10 player. I mean, say that out loud. I mean, if you're a top 10 talent in LSU's locker room, you're probably a pro. Harris he fits that. The coaches know that. They want to make sure mentally he's ready for this grind, right? I mean, chasing a championship and really playing for one from start to finish. LSU baseball is a great roadmap. It's something, a reference that you can look at just to, man, that has to be taken into account when we relive that 2023 championship for LSU baseball, where they did it nearly wire to wire. When they weren't number one, they were number two. The team that was number one while they were number two, they beat in a 3-game set the week of the national championship. I mean, to be able to do that, sustain that, go through the highs, the lows, the peaks, the valleys, the wins, the losses, all the stuff that comes with being on a team for a full season and going through the drama of it. I mean, for everybody in sports who, constantly claims they hate drama, a year in around sports, there is some sense and pieces of drama that you have to make it through. And, I think some of the tests that they're throwing at Denver Harris right now or through spring and into the offseason was, hey, look, man, you probably will have 6 or 7 picks at the midseason point. But you got to stay locked in. You got to stay committed. You got to stay bought in. Right? I mean, some of those things that Brian Kelly was really kind of enamoring the SEC audience about this week was building those types of responsibilities and keeping people accountable in the program on how he's doing it. I mean, it was the things that we really kind of, all of us here locally, were recognizing last year when it was happening, right? I mean, when those players and when those coaches were coming through the studio last year, what was the biggest takeaway? It was like, damn, everybody's really bought in. I mean, there's a lot of people in that locker room that's hard to get a consistent message from everybody after being on the job in a very short time. I mean, if anything you learn quick is that Kelly's leadership is effective. Whatever he's doing, whatever the message is, whatever he's promoting, whatever he's preaching, people are accepting. People are gripping onto. We made the reference to him when he was sitting down with us a couple of weeks ago. I think, and still is, a great testament to his program is that once he got established on the job, nobody transferred. You know how easy it is for somebody to be somewhere tonight if they don't like where they are this morning in college sports? I mean, really. You could show up to the nutrition center, didn't like the bagel that they served you for breakfast, and be at Ohio State tonight. If you're that type of player, and if you want to be. And for LSU to be able to, turn over all the personnel, all the coaches, all of the program, really, all the rules, the regulations, everybody, everything that goes into it, and not really lose anybody. We can sit here and debate, like, how's Kelly doing on the job? Like, just look. How's Dion doing? Don't look good. Everybody's fleeing the program. That can't be a good thing, right? What's going on with Brian Kelly?
Getting guys.
They're retaining everybody. I think they're testing people like Denver Harris, like, hey, man, week 7 or 8, when it really gets hard and nobody's healthy, everybody's struggling through the grind, both mentally and physically. You going to stay locked in? You going to stay on it, right? Because that's, you're as needed much as in week 10 as you are in week 2. And while everybody's, still got the shine of the offseason and still feeling healthy and still sprinting out there and running and jumping and
excited.
Being able to, yeah, right. You're still pumping the adrenaline, all that stuff. Got to have you there too. But, those are the things that I believe that they're really here in year 2. I'm listening to Sirius XM all week, and they're live at SEC Media Days. And this is like Rick Neuheisel and the Show Pony and, that whole crew. And they are just drinking the Kelly Kool-Aid. They are sipping from the Brian Kelly and LSU trough. Where, the Show Pony's debating on whether or not there's a shift in power of Kelly jumping over Saban as the best coach in the West. And, to be debated, but, the fact that, that's where it is in year 2 under Kelly. People are having this just realization that LSU's got the right guy, finally. Things that we were all talking about last season, not just this show. People that would see us in restaurants, see us, just kind of walking around the streets, and stop and strike up conversation. People could feel it. I think the rest of the country, or at least the rest of the league, has, that wave has crashed on their radio show, on their market, where people are like, oh shit, LSU's got the dude. We've been making fun of his accent. We've been making fun of the way that he dances. We've been saying it's a bad fit.
Trying to run back the old LSU comments.
Right? Yeah, this is LSU. Well, people are like, oh, man, they're winning national championships in women's basketball and baseball, and, the best coach and the best fit might be in football.
Just ask Scott Farrell.
That's a scary scenario for the rest of the league.
That's what
people have known that, right? Saban knew that in leaving here, that if they ever got the right guy, one that could stick, one that could stay, one that could build a program, build consistency, then the rest of the league was in trouble. Because it's homegrown talent. It's Georgia. It's what Kirby Smart is now doing at Georgia. If you look at the players that were escaping that state for so long, it was the nucleus to nearly every team that was winning championships. Cam Newton came out of Atlanta. He never even thought about going to Georgia.
Went to Florida.
He first went to Florida, then he went to Auburn. Those are 2 schools within 2.5 hours that you could drive to Atlanta. Right? But Kirby Smart got there and was like, nope. Yeah, that's our guy.
Okay.
But, I think the rest of the league, the rest of the country, the rest of the
notice.
people, there's a feeling of, Saban's back in Baton Rouge. That type of guy, that type of leader, that type of director. All right, they got we'll get back to it here in a little bit, SEC Media Days. And we are going to talk next to David Steele, who's going to come through here. And Steele is from the Baton Rouge Bourbon Society. They've got a event coming up this weekend, Screw Cancer, and it's coming up this Saturday. It's a great cause. There's great social media to it as well that you can find at the Baton Rouge Bourbon Society of Baton Rouge. The website is batonrougebourbonsociety.com. The social media is BSOBR, which is Baton Rouge Bourbon Society of Baton Rouge. So we'll talk to our friend David Steele next. He'll tell us how you can get involved. He'll tell us a little bit about the event, and I think he's got a little bit of liquor with him coming in here on a Thursday morning. So we'll be back with more of the Jordy Culotta Show, as always, built by RMB Builders. Come back with us right after this. Hey, fellas, it's Jordy Culotta for my friends over at Men's Total Health. Guys, do you suffer from fatigue, decreased libido, erectile dysfunction, weight gain or loss of muscle mass, signs of depression, anxiety, hair loss, mental fog, general loss of interest? Then you might be suffering from low testosterone. Go see my friend Mike Roach and his great team over at Men's Total Health, over in Metairie at menstotalhealth.net online. And stop in and see how they can change your life today. A simple shot and some knowledge from Mike Roach can get you back up, moving with your energy, get your sex drive back, build your muscle mass, make you feel young again. All online, menstotalhealth.net. Red Stick Sports, a local staple in Baton Rouge to all sports fans, was founded back in 1981 and has remained a family business for over 40 years. Today, they still have the great selection on the floor, but they're also a leader in custom apparel for businesses, sports teams, and other groups. Take it from us, everybody over here at FM Digital Media. They help us out with all of our apparel. Let them help you out today. Go ask for Cody over at Red Stick Sports. Check him out online at redsticksports.biz.
We're all from different places and backgrounds. We've each experienced our own versions of life, but in the end, we're all on the same team. I'm part of that team, along with these players in purple and gold.
Kayshawn Buddha, Malik Neighbors, Miles Frazier,
Kyron Lacy,
Greg Brooks.
Whether on the field or in the courtroom, your team matters.
So join our team.
make a difference.
Bet. Let's get it done.
The Jordy Culotta Show is brought to you by A-Bears Lawn Maintenance. Commercial or residential, A-Bears Lawn Maintenance is ready to work. A-Bears can tackle all your homeowners association requirements. Call Blake at 225-485-8022. A-Bears Lawn Maintenance.
In a wreck, Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys is ready to go to work for you. Come meet your team.
I'm your intake specialist. I coordinate your case and connect you with your attorney and paralegal.
That's us, your legal team.
Thanks.
And we'll fight to get you every dollar you deserve.
I'm your settlements and disbursement manager, and I'm here to get you paid on time.
I'm attorney Gordon McKernan. Put our team to work today. Just call us. Get it done.
All right, we got a couple of cool things happening here this morning. As we said, we are going to talk to David Steele of the Baton Rouge Bourbon Society about the Screw Cancer event coming up. But as you'll remember during the baseball season, every time we would talk to our friend Doug Thompson, it'd always be brought to you by by the good people over at the Louisiana Firefighters Foundation that you can find online at louisianafirefighters.com. Over the last week, Doug introduced me to kind of the visionary of this thing. It's grown into a really cool and informative and helpful and really a foundation that has come to really support all of our local people. And Dustin Yates, who is here this morning representing the Louisiana Firefighters Foundation, is here to talk to us about what this has grown into and what ultimately this organization can do to help everybody, and they can. And it is great to see you again.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jordy, for having me here this morning.
Absolutely, absolutely. Talk to us a little bit about just kind of the vision of starting this and kind of how it came to be.
So we started the foundation about 5 years ago, and it was started originally to be kind of a training and educational platform for first responders in the state of Louisiana. Unfortunately, we have kind of lagged behind, like we do in a lot of things in this state, with training and educational opportunities for our first responders. So we started for that. We started a conference 5 years ago called the LIFT Conference. So this will be our 5th year. We have it at LaBerge every year. It's really a great event. This year we'll actually kick it off with a firefighters challenge. So we'll get fire departments from all over the state that'll send their very best, that'll compete, and we'll see who the best is in the state. So it'll be a real fun event. We'll open it up to the public, and we'll have some more information out about that later on as we get closer to it.
LouisianaFirefighters.com is the website. Remember, LouisianaFirefighters.com. And look, I'm a parent, and one of the things that just haunts you in your sleep is things that are out of your control while your kids are away from you, right? And one of the things that obviously is haunting to all parents right now is active shooters.
Sure.
And something that I found out in just kind of talking to Doug about what you guys do at Louisiana Firefighters Foundation is really not only educate, but show up on campus and teach teachers and administrators how to handle situations like this. Can you go into more detail on some of these experiences and how people can learn more?
Sure, absolutely. So about a year ago, we started our community programming arm of the foundation. We saw a big need in our community that currently wasn't being met. So we started with one school, and it led to another school, and so far we've been in about 40 schools and facilities over the last 12 months. And what we do is we go in and we teach street medicine. So we have off-duty paramedics and firefighters that are actually still on the streets on their work days, performing life-saving acts essentially, and we put them in the schools. So we're teaching your teachers and we're teaching your administrators how to stop a bleed, how to perform CPR, how to work the AED that's in the school, how to do all these things that, in the event that something should happen in school, God forbid, an active threat type of situation. We also do consulting for that as well. So schools that might not be up to date on their emergency response plans will come in. And the great thing about it for the schools is that we do it for free. There's no charge to the school itself. We're a nonprofit through the foundation. So we'll come in, we'll do it for free. We provide the training for free. And not only do we do the training for free, but we're leaving behind equipment. So every teacher that goes through the program is going to be left with a bleeding control kit for their classroom. Every school that gets over a certain percentage of teachers that have successfully completed the program, we leave a larger kit at their front office. In schools that can't afford to do so, we do our very best to provide AEDs to them as well. It's that important for us that, and really the ultimate goal is to get into every school and to get into every daycare facility, to get into every sports facility. And that's another part of the programming that we really just started, is we have a Ready Coach program. So we just kind of kicked off a pilot program with St. George. My children went to St. George, so I kind of reached out to them and said, hey, look, this is what we got going on. And it's the same thing. We go in, we provide this training for free. And some of it's a little bit more geared towards coaches. So we have concussion protocol training. We have heat emergency awareness training. Things like that you'll see more on a football field or in an athletic arena than you might see in a classroom.
Well, it was something you and I were talking about at lunch last week, and you don't even think about as a young coach, right? I mean, like, for instance, you bring kids out to some field at, Highland Road Park, some Breck Park, some school that may be out of session, and you're out there for an afternoon, and something happens, and you are so ill prepared for anything that could go, God forbid,
sure,
really wrong, and it could happen in just a blink of an eye, right? So, like, your goal, like you were telling me, is have what these AEDs have not only in every school, but almost every classroom around the state, right?
Yeah, we should have them everywhere. You know, Texas just actually passed some legislation requiring that to be in every school, and maybe one day we'll get that advanced in the state of Louisiana. But it's a real deal, and you know, I've been working for the fire department for 18 years now, and they call us first responders. But I tell people all the time, I said, I've never been the first person on a scene. It's always somebody else, right? And chances are, if you're an average citizen and you witness something like this, who are you going to be around when it happens? You're going to be around your family. You're going to be around your loved ones. You're going to be around your friends. You're going to be around the people that you work with, people that you care about, right? In that first 3 to 5 minutes is vital for their survival. You know, we always use the example over the last year now, and everybody got to see it live on Monday night television when Hamlin from the Bills went down with his cardiac event. And, you know, a few things had to happen there for that guy to survive. They had to have the right equipment there, right? They had to have somebody who was trained to do it, and they had to have somebody that felt empowered to do it. And that's really the big one, Jordy, is that there's some people that go through the training maybe once in their life and whatever, but when the time comes and they have to actually act, some people don't feel like they're empowered to do it. So a lot of our programming isn't just educational, and it's not just leaving behind the right equipment. It's about truly empowering them that if this happens to occur, that it's okay to do it. You know, we like to say that if you're performing CPR, if you're doing some of these things, and you're doing it 70% the right way, it's still a 70% better chance than zero.
Right.
So early intervention CPR, early intervention AED application, and really stopping a bleed, because ultimately those are the two things that unfortunately will kill you the quickest. Is your heart's going to stop beating, or you're going to bleed out. So that's what we try to focus on.
I encourage everyone, whether you're a school administrator, whether you're an administrator in an office this morning, and some of your concerns may be safety around the office of personnel, or even just, you know, safety of the premises, right? To have and get in touch with Chief Yates, Dustin Yates at the Louisiana Firefighters Foundation. It's online at louisianafirefighters.com. Is that the best way to
That's the best way. There's some email addresses on there, info@louisianafirefighters.com. And as well, you can sign directly up for classes through there as well. So there's some links. We have a calendar on there. If you want to schedule something for your school or your daycare facility or coaches group, you can go directly through there to schedule it. We also, another popular thing that we've been doing is safe sitter programs. So we're training babysitters. It's a great program. It's meant for girls and boys, 6th through 8th grade. We generally hold, right now we're doing once a month. We'll probably have to increase that. Right now we have a sponsor that is covering the cost of that whole program. They generally sell out within about 36 to 48 hours once we open it up. So it's also a great thing. And to the businesses out there, people that, you know, that want to get involved, you know, we are a nonprofit. We work off of donation. We work off of grant dollars and things like that. So if you want to help sponsor a Safe Sitter program, if you want to help sponsor your child's school, you know, you can contact us also through the website, and we'll let you know how you can get involved that way.
LouisianaFirefighters.com. LouisianaFirefighters.com. I thank my friend Doug Thompson for bringing this to my attention. I know Doug has been doing a lot of radio hits throughout the state, whether it's been here on our show, or I know he's been on with T-Bob Hester and Moscone and the crew over there on ESPN, and every time he shows up, all of his conversations are brought to you by LouisianaFirefighters.com. You may just hear the website when Doug comes on and talks LSU baseball. This is the chief, Dustin Yates, kind of the mind and the visionary behind it that has grown into, you know, really it's grown very fast here and still needs support. This is something that we all have some level of invested interest in, right? Whether you're showing up to the workplace this morning or you're dropping your kid off at a camp or a school, there's some type of invested interest of keeping that person, that place protected. LouisianaFirefighters.com is they're easing that pain. They are after talking and going to lunch with Chief Yates last week, there was a sense of just we have got to include them in all of what we want to keep safe, or at least having some peace of mind that we have the ability to keep, you know, our kids, our co-workers, our friends safe. Thank you for what you do.
Thank you, Jordy. Appreciate
Absolutely.
the time.
Great to see you this morning.
You as well.
Dustin Yates, Chief Yates, the man, LouisianaFirefighters.com. From one great cause to another, Screw Cancer. An event coming up this Saturday night. We're going to tell you all about it with one of our friends, David Steele of the Baton Rouge Bourbon Society, and keep it moving here on a Thursday morning. Jordy Culotta Show brought to you by R&B Builders. Hey fellas, it's Jordy Culotta for my friends over at Men's Total Health. Guys, do you suffer from fatigue, decreased libido, erectile dysfunction, weight gain or loss of muscle mass, signs of depression, anxiety, hair loss, mental fog, general loss of interest? Then you might be suffering from low testosterone. Go see my friend Mike Roach and his great team over at Men's Total Health over in Metairie at menstotalhealth.net online. And stop in and see how they can change your life today. A simple shot and some knowledge from Mike Roach can get you back up, moving with your energy, get your sex drive back, build your muscle mass, make you feel young again. All online, menstotalhealth.net. Red Stick Sports, a local staple in Baton Rouge to all sports fans, was founded back in 1981 and has remained a family business for over 40 years. Today, they still have the great selection on the floor, but they're also a leader in custom apparel for businesses, sports teams, and other groups. Take it from us, everybody over here at FM Digital Media. They help us out with all of our apparel. Let them help you out today. Go ask for Cody over at Red Stick Sports. Check him out online at redsticksports.biz.
We're all from different places and backgrounds. We've each experienced our own versions of life, but in the end, we're all on the same team. I'm part of that team, along with these players in purple and gold.
Kayshawn Buddha, Malik Neighbors, Miles Frazier,
Kyron Lacy,
Greg Brooks.
Whether on the field or in the courtroom, your team matters.
So join our team.
make a difference.
Bet. Let's get it done.
The Jordy Culotta Show is brought to you by A-Bears Lawn Maintenance. Commercial or residential, A-Bears Lawn Maintenance is ready to work. A-Bears can tackle all your homeowners association requirements. Call Blake at 225-485-8022. A-Bears Lawn Maintenance.
In a wreck, Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys is ready to go to work for you. Come meet your team.
I'm your intake specialist. I coordinate your case and connect you with your attorney and paralegal.
That's us, your legal team.
Thanks.
And we'll fight to get you every dollar you deserve.
I'm your settlements and disbursement manager, and I'm here to get you paid on time.
I'm attorney Gordon McKernan. Put our team to work today. Just call us. Get it done.
Are you looking for sound financial advice? Then get in touch with Daniel Newman of Edward Jones. You can call him today at 225-261-8262 or email him daniel.newman@edwardjones.com. If you're planning for retirement, saving for college, for children or grandchildren, or just looking for sound investment opportunities, get in touch with Daniel today, 225-261-8262, located on Magnolia Square Drive in Central. Daniel Newman of Edward Jones.
Hey Tiger fans, when you're traveling through Natchez, Mississippi, make sure to visit Tom and Wright Granning at Go Mart and On The Go Deli, where you can fill up your tank and your belly. Go Mart has clean restrooms, community coffee, an awesome beer cave, and a great selection of anything you may need on your trip. Located at 4 Sergeant Prentice Drive as you're entering Natchez on the left. Also stop by Wardo's Po' Boys at 309 North Broadway on the beautiful Natchez Bluff, where the Po' Boys are so good you'll swear you're in Cajun country.
All right, welcome back here. Jordy Culotta Show live here on this Thursday morning. Good stuff with the Chief. We appreciate Dustin Yates for stopping by. Check him out online at LouisianaFirefighters.com. Louisiana Firefighters Foundation, doing great work, man. They are keeping us safe, man. Louisiana over at the Louisiana Firefighters Foundation. Speaking of good causes, man, coming up this weekend, this Saturday night, the Baton Rouge Bourbon Society is having one of their events called Screw Cancer. And from the Baton Rouge Bourbon Society is David Steele, who comes in this morning to tell us a little bit about it. Dave, good morning. Thanks for joining us, man.
Thanks for having me, Jordy. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Tell us a little bit about the event. What's coming up this weekend?
So, this is our third year doing it. It's our Screw Cancer release. We partner with Sugarfield Spirits to develop a whiskey that's not what they normally put out, something very different. We charge a premium for it because, obviously it comes in this fancy box and looks really nice. And proceeds from that go to a different cancer charity. So this year it's prostate cancer. Last year was Women's Hospital Foundation. Year before that was Leukemia and Lymphoma Society.
That's
yeah,
it's a great event, right?
Yeah, no, it's a lot of fun. You come out, hang out with us at Sugarfield Spirits at Gonzales, local distillery. You get to try a bunch of cool whiskeys and stuff like that. They got spirits, cocktails, tasting room, and you get to pick up your cool bottle.
And you can get all this information online?
Yeah, right. So our website, bourbonbr.com, Google us. If you just Google bourbon and Baton Rouge, you'll find us. We're like the #1 hit. And all the information's on there. You can buy the bottle there. You can buy raffle tickets. You can read all about our causes, This is just one of the multiple charities we do every year.
So tell me a little bit about the box and the bottle.
So we decided this year, the first year we did like a rye that was finished in a couple of things. Last year was a honey and port finished bourbon. Well, this year we decided to do a bourbon rye blend.
Okay.
So we're calling it the Spirit of BR. BR bourbon rye. A lot of people in the industry, if you make a bourbon rye blend, you call it a boo rye. We were like, that's not good enough for us. So with it being the Spirit of BR, we decided to have the bottle kind of represent the Baton Rouge a little bit more. So we have like the stained glass of the, like the old state capitol. It says Spirit of BR on here. And then since we're keeping the funds as local as possible through LSU Foundation, we're like, this has to be all things, we think of Baton Rouge, you think of the Capitol and you think of LSU. So that's what we stuck with. Really proud of how it came out. Red 6 Media, really awesome people that designed it for us.
Oh, that's a bottle you keep.
Yeah, so this is so it costs $175, which I know is a lot of money. But $80 from that goes to prostate cancer research. And then you get the whole package. And then you also get, which I haven't mentioned yet,
drunk.
Every bottle you get 5 raffle tickets. So we do a rare whiskey raffle as well. So that's going to be, we have like 40, I think my last count was like 44 bottles of whiskey. With that, there's like a Van Winkle 12.
Pop the top on that thing. Oh, a little Pappy?
Yeah, got a little Pappy. We got some Willets. We got Blanton's Gold. All sorts of great bottles. So for $175, you get this awesome bottle, rare whiskey that you can't find anywhere else. Come here in a box, which I think looks pretty cool, to be honest.
Wood burned?
Yeah. Says benefiting the LSU prostate cancer research, and you get the 5 raffle tickets.
So a chance to win more whiskey.
Yeah. What do we win in the raffle?
So we do the raffle this Sunday night. So Saturday night you pick up your bottle. Sunday night follow us on Facebook Live. We'll run the raffle, tell all the winners, and then we'll get it next week to you.
Nice.
So Saturday, is it going to be like a tasting and like a little bourbon flight? Because those things can get dangerous.
Yep, that's the one thing I hate about Sugarfield Spirits. It's in Gonzales and not Baton Rouge. But yeah, they'll have, Sugarfield's a working distillery. You can go hang out there. They have tons of different spirits they make, vodkas, gins, rums, and then just a whole slew of liqueurs, plus all their different whiskeys they have. So you can try a bunch of different stuff, try cocktails. Richard Marquette from Smoke and Boil will be out there selling food. I mean, it's going to be a really great time. And if you're kind of like, oh, I don't really like whiskey very much, right next door, Sugarfield owns a brewery and a winery. So it's literally any alcohol you want, it's all right there.
You have no excuse.
Yeah. It's going to be a good time.
Remember, online, you can get more about it. You can read more about it. You can get all the information online at Baton Rouge or bsobrfoundation.com. bsobrfoundation.com. That's Bourbon Society of Baton Rouge.com is where you can find them online, as the event is coming up this Saturday night, as we will tell you more about it, as this was. So what was the process for selecting?
So this has been our third time, and Surefield, we've been working with them since they opened back, a couple of months before the pandemic. Really great time to open this distillery.
Yeah, right.
Thomas Salto, he's owner, head distiller. He was he's like, what do y'all want to do? And if you go there, you got to go check out the distillery. You go in the back, they have over 100 different barrels of rums and bourbons, whiskeys, all sorts of stuff being aged. And he's like, all right, this is what we got. Start picking what you want. And we found this cognac finished bourbon that we really loved. The mouthfeel was perfect. It had a really nice, subtle sweetness to it. And then we found this port finished rye that we also really liked. So we're debating between which one we want to go with. And one of my guys, it was a few of us, and one of my guys, Jonathan, said, hey, what if we just blend them together? And we all, the light bulb just kind of clicked. We're all okay, let's try it. So we tried it, we blended it, and we were all just blown away. And so that's how it happened. I mean, it's literally, lightning in a bottle sometimes.
Sure.
Literally.
If it's free?
Yeah. To come hang out, it's free. Obviously, if you want to buy drinks, stuff like that,
All right. Website, you can, as we said, man, find out more. It's a great event. Screw cancer, right? I mean, no matter what your politics are, no matter what your background is, where you go, everybody hates cancer.
Yeah.
Right?
We all have someone affected by it.
I mean, everybody is affected by this in some form, some shape. So the title of the event is fantastic, Screw Cancer, and you can learn more about it and come out on Saturday night, bsobrfoundation.com, bsobrfoundation.com. They got great social media as well. Box, bottle, drunk, good cause, good venue, good people. Check it out, Saturday night.
Make a memory.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Come hang out. I mean, I've been telling people, where else can you find a bottle of whiskey that has LSU on the label?
I'm telling you.
LSU. Let's support it. Support prostate cancer research.
Another thing we're all aligned on,
yes.
right?
Yeah.
Everybody hates cancer. Everybody loves LSU.
Yeah.
Great
cause.
cause.
A win-win.
bsobrfoundation.com. We'll be back with more of the show. Jordy Culotta Show rolling on after this. Hey fellas, it's Jordy Culotta for my friends over at Men's Total Health. Guys, do you suffer from fatigue, decreased libido, erectile dysfunction, weight gain or loss of muscle mass, signs of depression, anxiety, hair loss, mental fog, general loss of interest? Then you might be suffering from low testosterone. Go see my friend Mike Roach and his great team over at Men's Total Health, over in Metairie at menstotalhealth.net online. And stop in and see how they can change your life today. A simple shot and some knowledge from Mike Roach can get you back up, moving with your energy, get your sex drive back, build your muscle mass, make you feel young again. All online, menstotalhealth.net. Red Stick Sports, a local staple in Baton Rouge to all sports fans, was founded back in 1981 and has remained a family business for over 40 years. Today, they still have the great selection on the floor, but they're also a leader in custom apparel for businesses, sports teams, and other groups. Take it from us, everybody over here at FM Digital Media. They help us out with all of our apparel. Let them help you out today. Go ask for Cody over at Red Stick Sports. Check him out online at redsticksports.biz.
We're all from different places and backgrounds. We've each experienced our own versions of life, but in the end, we're all on the same team. I'm part of that team, along with these players in purple and gold.
Sean Buddha, Malik Neighbors, Miles Frazier,
Kyron Lacy,
Greg Brooks.
Whether on the field or in the courtroom, your team matters.
So join our team.
make a difference.
Bet. Let's get it done.
The Jordy Culotta Show is brought to you by A-Bears Lawn Maintenance. Commercial or residential, A-Bears Lawn Maintenance is ready to work. A-Bears can tackle all your homeowners association requirements. Call Blake at 225-485-8022. A-Bears Lawn Maintenance.
In a wreck, Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys is ready to go to work for you. Come meet your team.
I'm your intake specialist. I coordinate your case and connect you with your attorney and paralegal.
That's us, your legal team.
Here you go.
Thanks. And we'll fight to get you every dollar you deserve.
I'm your settlements and disbursement manager, and I'm here to get you paid on time.
I'm attorney Gordon McKernan. Put our team to work today. Just call us. Get it done.
Are you looking for sound financial advice? Then get in touch with Daniel Newman of Edward Jones. You can call him today at 225-261-8262 or email him daniel.newman@edwardjones.com. If you're planning for retirement, saving for college, for children or grandchildren, or just looking for sound investment opportunities, get in touch with Daniel today, 225-261-8262, located on Magnolia Square Drive in Central. Daniel Newman of Edward Jones.
Hey Tiger fans, when you're traveling through Natchez, Mississippi, make sure to visit Tom and Wright Granning at Go-Mart and On The Go Deli, where you can fill up your tank and your belly. Go-Mart has clean restrooms, community coffee, an awesome beer cave, and a great selection of anything you may need on your trip. Located at 4 Sergeant Prentice Drive as you're entering Natchez on the left. Also stop by Wardo's Po' Boys at 309 North Broadway on the beautiful Natchez Bluff, where the Po' Boys are so good you'll swear you're in Cajun country.
All right, welcome back here, Jordy Culotta Show. Good stuff. Appreciate David Steele and Chief Yates coming through here over the last couple of minutes. We appreciate them for stopping by here on this Thursday. Have been watching The Quarterback on Netflix, which is great programming. Also seeing that the NFL is flirting with their throwback uniforms in markets like Seattle, Tampa Bay, Minnesota. I saw was a part of their throwbacks. I don't understand why this is such a debate. Like, these marketing departments within the NFL are making like millions of dollars, huge budgets, right? And it's such a simple fix. Like, everybody go back to your 70s and 80s or original look. I mean, I'm trying to think of one modern day uniform that is better than the retro. One. Give me one that is better than the retro.
I mean, the Seahawks just proved it, right?
I was gonna say the Rams, but I wouldn't even.
No way.
No.
Say the Rams
no
either.
way.
And the Rams before, I guess, but those are like a play on the throwbacks. Like, their good uniforms are like the
royal
original blue
and
with
the yellow is beautiful.
But
that's like the Eric Dickerson Rams is the era, right? Like, I mean, go back to it. Don't overthink it. Use those uniforms. They're fantastic. The John Elway Broncos era. Don't overthink it. Go back to it. It's fantastic. The Steve Grogan New England Patriots era. The Warren Moon Houston Oilers / Tennessee Titans era. I mean, like, what are we thinking about? Like, I mean, like, you think the Titans gear looks better than the original Houston Oilers gear? Like, is this even debatable?
See, this all
the Miami Dolphins retro, is there a better set?
Even the Eagles, that Kelly Green.
Oh, those. Oh, Vic and the
I
Kelly
forgot
Green.
how fine the Seahawks were.
Yeah.
Yes.
I
mean, like, what are they waiting on?
Do you think it's a jersey sales thing where like it's hard to mass produce these and change your uniforms? Like you want to change them every couple of years to get a new one.
It's the NFL.
I would think the change in the uniform would create a spike in merchandise sales.
It's the NFL. They only let them wear one like alternate uniform, alternate helmet a season.
Yeah,
so,
one alternate, so they have to kind of match up.
Yeah.
I knew that, but I was thinking of like mass production where they have, if you change your uniforms, it's often, every 2 years essentially, that you can't really sell the jerseys because people want the ones that
Fair.
And it's become.
I'm just saying, like, wipe the new uniforms, commit to the retros, and make it your look. I mean, like the San Francisco 49ers retro. I mean, like,
they have the best uniforms in the sport.
with the black lettering.
It's porn. I mean, it's like it is uniform porn.
It's very aesthetically pleasing.
I mean, it's just like I can't get enough of this type.
Like, give me Christian McCaffrey in the throwback.
Yeah, I love the Niners.
10 out of 10.
Great color scheme. But I think it's because you're talking about that era, and that's when I grew up. Like, I remember when the uniform changes happened, when the Broncos went to the stripes. That was like modern, and it was cool then. And now you get to a point where you haven't changed them in 20-something years. I would say almost 20 years since 98. And that was cool then. The Rams did the same thing after they went to the Super Bowl. They came out with like the gold on the uniforms and changed their look. And it was like that was modern. They were trying to get ahead of the times. And now we're in an era where it's everything that's cool is now throwback. So it's just bring them back. You don't even have to redesign anything. You already have the model.
I mean, I hate the Falcons. I don't think anything the Falcons do is cool. Their retro look is cool. The red helmets with the black tops and the gray pants, like
that's a look.
Whew, that is good looking, man.
And Arthur Coco says in the chat, I miss the old Saints uniform. We were talking about that too. I love those.
I think the Saints retro is a great look. I mean, and I'm not back in my era type of guy. You know what I mean? Like I can adapt, I can adjust, I can evolve. But I mean, like, what is this a debate? I mean, what is the purpose of the uniform? We want to look good, right? Like, we want to have a certain unique look to us where people see us, they know it's us, they know that's the brand. And we want to pitch this Titan in this high school looking uniform. Put the Oilers back on, man. The baby blues with the touch of red.
Soon come.
And the all whites. The Denver Bronco Elway era with the orange crush. Even like the Giants, with the Giants across the helmet rather than the NY.
Mm-hmm. With the white face mask.
Oof. The Bills have the Bills have embraced it. I mean, they're in the OJ era.
Yeah.
Really?
Oh, goodness.
But I mean, retro.
Yeah.
I mean,
We get it. We know.
I got you.
Pre-double murder.
But I mean, you see, allegedly.
Yeah.
You've seen this kind of go, like, this has kind of started in the NBA too for a couple of years where they're like
NBA,
tinkering with going back to like they come out with the city uniforms that are, all right, we're trying to be in 2030, and then they always come back to, but we still have these if they don't make you happy. Like,
Yeah,
and then
they suck, man.
Yeah.
I mean, like when the NBA started wearing T-shirts, when they wore the T-shirts with the
Oh.
Cavs, Warriors, I'm like, what is this, the YMCA?
LeBron
I mean,
with the
like,
sleeve.
put the
Yeah.
old school Cavs, Warriors jerseys on these guys and, like, play the NBA Finals. We're going to look back on that Finals 10, 15 years
I'm
from
already
now and be
doing
like,
it.
what is this? What are they wearing? I mean, Kyrie Irving's in a T-shirt.
knocking down trays.
Knocking down.
But I mean, I know what the NBA was. I don't know why they put them on that stage on the NBA Finals, but I know why they did it at that time. They're trying to make their jerseys more like sellable, because people that buy jerseys, they don't want their, side titties out, and they don't want like their arms showing.
I mean, wear an undershirt.
Right. So that's what they did. They just built in an undershirt
I mean,
for you.
that's a hazard of the trade, man. I don't know what to tell you. You're a basketball player.
Well, they are not Joe uniform.
Yeah, I hear you, Joe. But I mean, this goes into the point of you shouldn't be wearing other people's name on your back as an adult. Buy it for your kid. He's in shape.
Bird on spring break.
I don't know. I just think that, like, I'm trying to think of a modern day look compared to any franchise's retro look that I believe is better. I mean, I'm brainstorming in my head right now.
Me
I'm
too.
trying to crash. I'm thinking, like, who has gotten this right? Who has done this the right way?
You could kind of argue the Chargers might have got it right.
Yeah, but they've gone back.
Yeah.
They've modernized by going retro. They've taken the old look and putting a little bit of new age on it, which I'm okay. Like I can compromise. I can see both sides of it, but I mean, for the most part, the majority, when I see the Los Angeles Chargers look, that looks retro Chargers to me. They're all whites or silky.
They're doing it. The Vikings are going back to their vintage
should.
uniforms for week 1.
They're awesome.
They're awesome. And the thing is, they all kind of look a little bit like college uniforms, at least in our in the South. Yeah, like super simple. LSU's uniforms are timeless.
Right.
Like I appreciate the Nike Pro Combats, whatever, once a year. Like that's cool. Even when LSU kicked it even farther back with Joe Burrow and put the number on the helmet and the gray face mask, like that was fire. So
But they still kept the classic.
that's what I'm saying. They went like almost farther back in time, and so I love when they even go more retro. But I also appreciate Chad Jones and the Pro Combats against Arkansas. I was like, that was fun.
Mhm.
But I don't want that to be the permanent uniform.
Yeah. No, I hear you. I mean, just sometimes you don't need to mess with it.
No.
You know, like sometimes you don't have to. I mean, the thing about the retro look, I think, for a lot of teams was that was the beautiful part about it. It was such a brand. It was such a established look. It was such a, you know, I mean, you saw it, you recognized it, you knew exactly what it was.
That's what branding is.
Right? Like, I mean, like I went through a period of time where I saw the Nuggets logo and I was like, what am I even looking at?
Yeah.
Like, who is this?
And the Nuggets uniforms are probably some of the old ones. They're some of the best in the sport.
Best. Like I could see the golden Nuggets spelled out. I knew exactly what I was looking at.
Yeah.
Knew exactly what I was looking at.
AI.
But then they went through this like DN.
That's the pick. I love the Nuggets color scheme.
Exactly.
Like they have.
But when they had
the silk jerseys.
when they had the city
that's the best
skyline,
one.
That was the best
with the
one.
rainbow.
He got the Denver Nuggets jeans on. That's what that reminds me of.
The Chris Jackson era.
Yes. And then you could even throw it back to the old 76ers with the silk unis. Andre Iguodala. That was a look. What are we doing? Nipples hurt.
Raw.
I'm raw.
Got tape over them things.
I mean, but I don't understand why people overthink it in this space so much. Maybe it's because they feel like they got to earn their check in these boardrooms and they got to say, I got a great idea. Let's change the look and, you know, put highlighter yellow on the Seattle Seahawks uniform when the whole time we've been sitting on this.
Yeah.
I mean, like, what are we debating? Look at that. What a great retro look, bro.
It is.
Golly, that's a good look. Take me back to Dave Craig, the Boz, Brian Bosworth.
Sean Alexander.
That's what I was thinking.
Did Sean Alexander play in that one?
I think he did. I
think Sean Alexander was like kind of right.
I think he played in his rookie year.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe early.
And then they switched.
Yeah, it went to like the Navy.
Yeah.
That reminds me of Marshawn Lynch.
I'm trying to think.
Put the
Steve
team on my
Largent, Dave Craig,
The Boz. Can't name a lot of Seahawks.
I'm trying to think. They had the safety. Was it Easley? Ronald Easley, maybe, who was. He was an All-Pro. Steve Largent. They had a running back. Was it Chris Warren? Maybe.
This is your
my
arena.
wheelhouse.
Yeah.
It was Chris Warren.
Chris Warren. Trying to think. I'm trying to name some. Help me name some Seahawks. Some
I can't name Seahawks right now.
Golly.
Geno
Kevin
Smith.
Mawai.
Was he?
Kevin Mawai was drafted by the Seahawks.
God, what a tough go of it for Kevin Mawai.
Cortez Kennedy.
Kennedy.
Yes.
It's a great one. Number one pick in the draft, I believe.
Kenny Easley.
Kenny Easley, not Ronald Easley. Kenny Easley.
Benny Blades.
Kenny Easley.
Kurt Warner.
Oh, Ricky Waters.
Not the Kurt Warner.
Kurt Warner, the running back.
Yeah.
I think Kurt Warner, the running back, wore a neck roll.
Yeah, he did.
He did?
I think Seahawks were like all neck roll team.
Yeah, I think they were the all neck roll team.
And the bar down the middle, little full cage.
Ricky Waters?
Yeah, Benny Blade, Sam Adams. Brock TV is all over.
Dave Craig?
Wow, was Sam Adams on the Seattle Seahawks?
Let me see. A lot of people on here. I don't see a Sam Adams up here.
Ron Palace.
They're asking for iconic jerseys in sports. I mean, you can go down the list. I know that like he goes Lakers, Cowboys, Yankees. I know that's the ones that you see the most often, but
they haven't changed their look.
Right.
I'd even go like USC football,
Mhm.
Notre Dame,
Penn State, Alabama,
LSU.
I mean, LSU's in that name brand.
Arkansas went back to their old ones. Those look great.
Mm-hmm.
Like just the Arkansas
Georgia,
across the front. Yeah,
and Georgia looks the same. I mean, they look exactly like when Herschel Walker was there.
Yeah.
I love Auburn's orange face mask.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I like those like subtle changes.
Yeah.
You don't have to go
Like, I mean, the Bo Jackson era. That's like kind of a...
We don't have to do a full uniform change. We could just change one thing and it'll make it look good.
Another thing that I'm excited about, man, that I can't wait is I love this Untold series that is happening and went on Netflix. If you remember, this was like the rise and fall of Anne 1 has been on this. They did the Malice of the Palace a few years back in telling that story of sports stories. This year, they got a great list that's coming out. It starts on August 1st. And the first episode is going to be about Jake Paul. And obviously, Paul has kind of become this polarizing sports figure after becoming kind of like an internet prankster to kind of, create this brand and blow up. So that'll be a cool watch to kind of lead off. And then it gets into some really good stuff, man, or at least some really good stuff that I cannot wait to watch. Episode 2, which airs on August 8th, is going to be around Johnny Manziel and his time at Texas A&M. And this is probably one of the most scandalous times in college sports of just like pay for play in your face. Like, and this is when you started to maybe even see like the start of the tipping point of paying players. You could probably go back to Manziel where it was just like, this is a monster, and I don't know if we can really regulate this if you're going to have a personality that is embracing it, open, and speaking of it so honestly. One of the things that was taboo about, cheating in college sports up to that point was that, I mean, whether you were in it or out of it, nobody really talked about it, right? Because, I mean, everybody was kind of scared of the repercussions. They were scared of the NCAA. But moreover, they were scared, like, if I run my mouth, they're going to start talking. They're going to start telling what I'm doing. I mean, it's a very kind of like, well, I'm just doing what they're doing. Right? And when Manziel stepped onto the scene, right, I mean, he becomes the first freshman ever to win the Heisman Trophy. He's got a freshman season that is just, if you go back and watch it, is without question single season Tyrann Mathieu, like one of these like best you've ever seen type stuff. Like you would just watch and be like, oh my God, this guy is a phenomenon. I mean, his freshman season when it was all happening with Kingsbury and it was happening for the first time and he hadn't gotten into the money yet and he was still just, Johnny Football. It was an incredible story. And then he wins the Heisman. He blows up. He does not run from it. He absolutely embraces it and becomes college sports' biggest star. In the offseason, he loses at offensive coordinator. Kingsbury goes to Texas Tech. He becomes this kind of like centerpiece of negativity, right? I mean, he becomes the heel of college sports, and he embraces it. And it was a fantastic time to be alive and covering college sports because you finally had a superstar who just kind of flipped the bird to the NCAA and said, whatever you think you can do, you can try, but all I'm doing is free enterprise and, abiding by the Constitution. You're not. And it was a great time in sports to kind of like be a part of, but then it'll be fantastic to, a decade later to look back on and say, wow, look how wild this was just 10 years ago of how different it was. I mean, the scrutiny, the backlash, the criticism, whether you like Johnny Manziel or not, right? I mean, he was doing ultimately what has grown, developed, been baked into what is college sports today, right? I still think that it happens without Manziel, but Manziel's a big piece of this from a talking point, right? Like he's a great reference point that you can say, hey, look, you got a quarterback down in the SEC and he's writing records and this is really what's happening to him. You know what I mean? He's getting $100 handshakes every step he takes after the game, and then he's also got a hotel room full of, pictures that he can autograph and make a boatload of money off of that really we're not entitled to touch. Because if the band member was set up in the same hotel room, signing guitar picks rather than action shots of him on the field and he was selling them, nothing would happen. And Manziel really brought that argument to the forefront, and everybody for the first time was finally like, yeah, the kid's got a point. And I think it's one of the dominoes that really, collided into where we are now. So open and talking about paying players. I mean, the fact that people now say out loud people are cheating, like cheating? What do you mean cheating? What was the guy's name? What was the guy's name up in New York?
Scott Farrell.
Scott Farrell?
Oh.
It said LSU's cheating in every sport because they're paying for players? Yo, Scott, it's 2023, buddy. Have you read the rule book? It's not 2012 anymore. I mean, he's talking like he's speaking to Manziel in 2012. How could this kid do this? Just because it's free enterprise and it's America. Same reason you get up and go do your radio show every day, Scotty. You got to do it for free? Now there's rules and regulations that say, yeah, you can entitle you can pay them. Cheating. To use the word cheating around college sports now that's a dinosaur. I mean, what's cheating?
Not this.
Well, you're paying players. Well, yeah, no shit, it's the rules. I mean,
what do you want to get with it or get lost?
What do you want to do? Not pay and lose? So that's going to be the second episode. I'm in on that. For whatever reason, over the last couple of weeks, I don't know if I voiced this on the show or not, I have fallen down a Barry Bonds hole on YouTube. And it was really just kind of like some sentimental stuff. Jordan and I, my son, and I were talking about great baseball hitters because we were watching a baseball game.
Home run derby, probably.
Probably so. But we were watching a baseball game and great hitters came up. He's in love with Acuna at Atlanta. And we were talking about other guys that were great at hitting. And I said, the best I've ever seen is Barry Bonds. And he's like, I've heard of Barry Bonds. Like, who's Barry Bonds? And I'm like, sit down.
756.
So, I mean, we go and, put on some YouTube Barry Bonds clips. And, I mean, look, I'm not the person to talk to about juice in sports. Like, if it was up to me, put them all on steroids if they're going to hit 75 home runs. That's what I'm paying to see. Like, I'm showing up to get entertained. If they want to blow themselves up and, put steroids in their body to go hit home runs, I'll pay the extra $20.
Yeah.
But whatever was going on during that era, seemingly like 90% of the people in the sport were doing it. This dude was the biggest and the baddest. Forever. And the ease at which he hit home runs, I forgot about. I forgot that he choked up on the bat. Well, like he took like a 31-inch bat and made it like 28 inches. He would like just stand and hover over the plate.
Yeah, put on the big elbow pad and just said, you got to throw it here. And that was his other, I know people say this all the time, regardless of if he did steroids or not, he probably still is probably the greatest baseball player we've ever seen. Because what he was doing before the steroid era, he's a different player, but he was still he was transcending the sport with his ability to steal bases and play. He was a Gold Glover.
A regular member of the 40-40 club.
Right.
I mean, he was just...
But I'm glad he did it.
A supreme talent. Me too. And that will be episode 3. Victor Conti was the name that was synonymous with the doping scandal. And that was, really, it was located in San Francisco. And it was Balco was the name of the business and the name of the place, and Barry Bonds' name and Victor Conti and some of the best athletes at that time. Marion Jones was a standout track athlete at the time. She was caught up in it. All of that will
Bill
be
Romanowski
wrapped up.
Shocker.
August 15th in episode 3. And then episode 4 is a 4-part series that focuses on Urban Meyer's Florida program. It starts on August 22nd, and it drops all 4 episodes that night with the drama around the Gators program under Meyer's reign. And, I mean, name me one episode that I've talked about that you're not interested in. I mean, I can't wait till these Untolds drop. And you watching Barry Bonds highlights? How good was it? How good?
I mean,
How easy.
I remember being a kid just sitting in front of the TV every time he would go
His
to bat.
swing is like
so pure.
He's swinging a toothpick. I mean,
send it out third day.
If you want the highest compliment you can pay Barry Bonds, is that he was intentionally walked with the bases loaded twice. Yeah. We can't even run the risk of this.
I remember the World Series of them playing the Angels. My roommate and I were watching. I don't know if it was game 2 or 3, but he hit one into the night that literally, it vanished. I'm serious. If I remember, I think Joe Buck was like, he hits it deep into the San Francisco night. I mean,
McCovey Cove, baby.
Oh no, he hits it into the ocean. You know what I mean? It is. Still to this day, it's one of the biggest, baddest home runs it is amazing, the bat speed and what he could do with a baseball bat. So all of those coming up, man.
So Barry Bonds, McCovey Cove home runs. He has 35 and 4,072 plate appearances. Everybody else in McCovey Cove home runs, 65 and 37,622 plate appearances.
He has more than half.
I mean, they should name that thing Bonds Cove.
Yeah, the McCovey Cove statue is elite, though. He's out there, right?
It is.
But I mean, how many people do you? God, that's such a core memory. How many people were in their kayaks every?
Oh man!
And he did it 35 times, and people were out there every single night.
People would
dive into the water. Which I would not do now. The water was a friend then. Now, who knows what's in the cove?
Yeah. Aliens.
It's something. But and for the Johnny Manziel thing when you talk about pay for play and all that, he was the reason that the whole name, image, and likeness thing started, because when you went to the NCAA website, if you typed in Johnny Manziel, the number 2 jersey came up. But he didn't have his name on the back. He's like, that's my name, image, and likeness right there. And so that's what started the whole conversation about this, and what ultimately, like you said, got him in trouble. And he was very brash about it. So I'm interested to see how much behind-the-scenes stuff they have from him at that time, because it feels like you didn't cover teams the same way that you cover them now. So it might just be old cell phone videos of his friends, with him with the money, and those kind of nights where you're just he was out of control.
Or a lot of Billy Lucci.
Yeah.
All right, have a great day. Hit that like button, share button, comment button. We'll be back with you tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Appreciate everybody for being out there. Remember, Katie's Restaurant down in New Orleans. Stop in and see Katie's on Iberville Street. You can stop in and see them today for some of New Orleans favorites, plus some St. Louis style pizza. Katie'sInMidCity.com. Katie'sInMidCity.com is where you can get them online and find out more about them. We'll be back with you tomorrow morning, wrapping up the week here. Scott Woodward in studio tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Shay Dixon in studio with us tomorrow morning as well. So we'll recap some of the recruiting, and we'll talk to Scott Woodward at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning here on a Friday edition of the Jordy Culotta Show, as always built by R&B Builders.